He wiped the sweat from his brow, squinting at the battlefield. The sun was already starting to dip, casting long shadows over the valley. His men had been fighting all day, pushing back the armies of 5 enemy kings who thought they could take down his forces. But the fight wasn't over yet, not even close. He could see the exhaustion on his warriors' faces. They had been at it since morning, giving everything they had, but the enemy was still standing. If darkness fell, the aggressors would scatter, slipping away under the cover of night. They'd regroup, rebuild, and come back even stronger. Joshua knew they couldn't let that happen. They needed to finish this fight tonight, but time wasn't on their side. He took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. He had seen some wild miracles in his time. He'd walked through the Jordan when the waters parted, watched the walls of Jericho crumble just from marching and shouting. He knew what God could do, and right now he needed another miracle, a big one. Planting his feet firmly, he raised his arms and shouted with all the strength he had, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon, over the valley of Aijalon." For a moment, everything was dead silent. The battlefield froze. And then it happened. The sun stopped moving. The sky, which had started shifting into evening, just stayed put. The light didn't change. It was like someone had hit the pause button on the entire day. Warriors on both sides looked up, shading their eyes, completely stunned. The moon, which should have been creeping up, wasn't going anywhere. Time itself had just stopped. His warriors stared in disbelief. Then the realization hit them. This was their shot. A second wind surged through the warriors as they charged forward, no longer racing the sun. The enemy forces, already panicked, now lost their minds. They had counted on nightfall to save them, but now night wasn't coming. With nowhere to run, their formation crumbled. The warriors pushed them back, driving them into a full retreat. And just when things couldn't get worse for the aggressors, the sky opened up, not with rain, but with a brutal hailstorm. Massive stones pelted the enemy forces, striking down soldiers left and right. But somehow, not a single hailstone touched the warriors. It was like the storm had a mind of its own. By the time the sun finally started moving again, the battle was over. The enemy kings, so full of themselves that morning, were now defeated. The warriors had won, and Joshua, though exhausted, stood victorious. He had asked for the impossible, and God had come through in a way no one had ever seen before. The story of that day spread far and wide, not just as a tale of war, but as proof that when you have faith, grit, and the courage to ask for what seems impossible, anything can happen. It's easy to hear a story like this and think, that was a long time ago. Stuff like that doesn't happen anymore. But the truth is, we all have our own battles. Maybe yours isn't with swords and shields, but with deadlines at work, mounting student loans, stress from balancing family and career, or dreams that feel just out of reach. Ever feel like time is running out, like the sun is setting on something you've been fighting for, and you're about to lose your chance? Maybe you're a student cramming for finals, an entrepreneur trying to get your business off the ground, or an athlete pushing through exhaustion to make that final play. We've all been there, wishing for just a little more time to make things right, to push harder, to not give up. And while we can't literally stop the sun, we can take control of our moments. We can pull an all-nighter to finish that project, make one more phone call before the opportunity slips away, or push through the last rep at the gym when our muscles scream for rest. Joshua didn't just sit back and hope for a miracle. He asked boldly and then went all in. Sometimes When we step out in faith, when we refuse to back down, the world shifts in ways we never expected. Just like a buzzer beater in the NBA Finals, that last-minute push can change everything. That's when victories happen. So, whatever you're facing today, remember Joshua's story. Be bold, ask big, and then give it everything you've got.